All right, so on this training, we are going to continue to build on our LeadStream training. So again, hopefully, this is again, but hopefully you've been watching all of our LeadStream trainings in the LeadStream training module to understand all of the cool things that you can do with the LeadStream within your account to help your organization be more effective, more efficient, and just make more calls and connect with more people. Because that's what we're all about here at PhoneBurner. Now, this video builds on the previous video where we talked about converting a standalone account to a networked account, and we've built a lead stream in there, but I want to talk about a different type of lead stream. Again, this is all about building on what you've already learned. So if you have not been watching the other videos, I do recommend that you go back and watch those. You should be fine. So you're going to learn something no matter what if you watch this first, but it's going to make a lot more sense if you've watched the other videos. But this specific training, we're going to talk about the RoundRobin LeadStream and a networked account. Can it be used? Should it be used? How do you take advantage of this, right? So for those of you who haven't watched the other videos, I'll talk to you a little bit about the difference between how you can set up your PhoneBurner account in either a standalone or networked mode. So standalone, which is the most common method in PhoneBurner, sets up each team member. So here you can see I've got 3 team members, the admin, and then 2 individual users. Each of these team members in a standalone would have their own database. So if I transfer contacts to Heather, Heather's the only one who sees those contacts. Cassie would never see those. Same thing if I transfer contacts to Cassie, she would see hers and nobody else would see those, right? So we have this standalone, this separation of data into different databases. Whereas a networked account, everybody sees the same database. So if we go to the contacts tab as an admin in a networked account, we see the exact same folders. We see the exact same contacts. So for example, if I go to the networked blind pull folder, I see 985 contacts. If I log in, if I'm Heather and I log in and I go to that same folder, I see the exact same contacts. So that can cause people to step on each other's toes. And so we may want to be networked so that everybody could potentially see all the same data, especially if we're a very collaborative team. But we still might want to separate or segment the data so that nobody's stepping on each other's toes. And so, again, our last video talked about the blind pull method, which is a really popular method. Highly recommend taking advantage of that. But this one, again, we're going to be talking about the round robin distribution method. And so we're going to do that. So let's return back to the admin. And we're going to go to contacts. And again, quick reminder, networked accounts, we don't display the lead stream option here in the navigation menu. You do need to save this as a quick link so that you can access the lead stream page. If you've not saved it as a quick link, you can of course go to phoneburner.com/rotator/index and then save that as a quick link. So here we are on the lead stream page. Let's go ahead and click on Add Lead Stream, and we're going to create a new lead stream. We're going to call it RR Networked. We're going to give it a description of, and the type of lead stream that we're going to create is a RoundRobin LeadStream. And you'll notice we don't set a dialer preset on a RoundRobin LeadStream because all we're doing is distributing leads to individuals. And so we need to choose a distribution folder. So I'm going to create a new folder. And we're going to call this, actually let me cancel out of that. Let's copy this, RR Networked. And we're going to create a new folder, RCV. And click OK. And I'm not going to lock this. That'll make more sense here in just a minute. And the recycle folder, we could turn on recycling if we want. Let's go ahead and do that in this particular case, just so we could potentially redistribute these leads if we wanted to. Let's see here. We want For some reason that folder's not showing up yet, so I'm going to come back to this. We'll save this and we'll come back and set up recycling here in just a little bit. So, oh wait, I know what's going on here. I didn't even set up my distribution folder. My goodness, what am I doing? I just skipped right by the distribution folder. So we got to create a new folder for our distribution folder. Again, the distribution folder is the folder we put the contacts in to initiate all of this. My goodness, you guys are probably all laughing at me because I missed that. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. We've got our distribution folder, our receiving folder, and we'll go ahead and add recipients. So when we're adding recipients, we may need to assign these leads to the reps, but remember, it is one database, so we don't want to put them all in the same folder. And so this one, while I named it very generically, RR Networked RCV, I would probably recommend that you name that RR Networked and then after who you want to distribute those to. However, in my particular case, we already have folders that are unique to each individual rep. So if you look here, I've got Jeff's leads. So I can choose Jeff's leads as the folder, and I can choose Jeff as the recipient, and I could lock this in if I wanted to, or we could allow Jeff to change that if he wanted to. I'm going to lock it in and add recipient. No daily lead limits. Now when we add Heather, we can choose Heather's folder, lock that in, and add recipients. And then the last one is Cassie. We want to choose Cassie's folder and add recipients. Now, when we set up the lead stream, we created a receiving folder, but because we assigned unique receiving folders for each individual, we should never see any data go into that lead stream specific receiving folder. So now that we have configured the lead stream, we've added the team members to it, now if we go to contacts and we import, in fact, actually, you know what? I'm going to cancel out of this. Let's go back to LeadStream because I want to do a couple things here, actually. So let's go into RR Networked. Let's turn on recycling because we want to put him back into the distribution folder. Let's say we want to do that after a week. So that is that. Let's go ahead and save that. And I actually do want to put some limits on this one. So let's go back to our LeadStream page. I didn't add limits to those users, but because we're going to be doing some testing and whatnot, I thought it might be a good idea for us to manage those recipients. And let's edit each one of these and give them a 25 contact limit each day. So we're just editing each individual. And so if we go to the leads tab, we'll see everybody sees their RR networked. There's no leads in there. They haven't received any, right? Because we haven't imported anything. So now let's import some data. I'm not going to worry about mapping, changing any of the mapping. Obviously, you understand how this all works, so, or hopefully you've seen videos on it. Now, the distribution folder is going to be, or the folder I'm going to put the contacts into is going to be my distribution folder. So where is that? RR Network Distribution. And I'm going to create a lead source. I highly recommend that you always add a lead source. So we're going to call this RR Network. Next. Yes, please import. And that system is now, or the contacts are now being processed and imported. I don't have to stick around for this. It'll notify me once it's done. If I go to the network distribution folder, we'll see data is coming in. That list is growing. And it stopped at 925. Why did it stop at 925 when I imported 1,000? That's because it started distributing leads to my team members. Now, it did not put it in the receiving folder because this RCV folder is, while it's assigned to the lead stream, it's not technically getting used. And so we don't need to have a lead stream specific folder if we wanted to. I would recommend that you just assign one of your team members' lead folders as the receiving folder for the lead stream, and then just not have a separate receiving folder. But if we go to Jeff's leads, we'll see he has 25 leads in there, Heather has 25, and Cassie has 25. And so now when they go to begin dialing, so if I log in as, let's say, Cassie can go to her call 1. These are saved searches that are created in her specific account. Call 1 is looking for any contacts that have not been called yet that are in the Cassie's leads folder. We have lots of training on saved searches, and so you can go to that training and learn how to create really cool saved searches. So here's Cassie's call 1. It's got 25 records. She can now begin a dial session. But because she's choosing the record, she also gets to choose the starter and live answer set. Now, here's something interesting. It's already preset to Jeff's set. What I should do as Cassie, or for Cassie as the admin, is I should go into her settings, dial session settings, dispositions, and the tour, since this is the first time she's been here. And she should set this as her default. By setting her live answer set as the default, now when she goes to contacts and she goes to Cassie call 1 chasing, she can select all, begin a dial session, and that live answer set should have been selected. Why was that not selected? Let's close that. Go back to dial sessions. Go back to dispositions. It is set as the defaults. So that's weird. Let's go back to contacts. Cassie call 1. Select all. Maybe it's a cookies thing. Oh, you know what? We have updated the system, so last one you used is what is preset. So that's interesting. So I'll have to talk to the team about that one. Let's go ahead and hit continue. Grant mic access. And it's only put 12 into the dial session because there are duplicate phone numbers in there. And so by default, the system is scrubbing those out. You can change that in your settings if you want. But then I can start dialing. I can leave voicemails. If they don't answer, I click no answer. If I get a live answer, right, we've got rep specific disposition. So if I click the set appointment disposition for, and I'm using Cassie's set, it's going to move those contacts into Cassie's appointment folder. If I get a follow-up, it's going to tag those contacts with Cassie's name. All right, so let's go ahead and end this. Let's refresh this save search. You'll see that that's now lower because we made some calls. And if we go to Cassie's folder, some of those contacts have moved out because we booked appointments with some. Some of them went into the follow-ups folder, which we'll see those in here, right? And if we go to Cassie's follow-up, she'll see all of the contacts that are due to be followed up today and tagged with her name. So anyway, if you're a networked account, you can take advantage of a RoundRobin LeadStream to help you distribute your data out to your team. But you're going to want to have rep-specific folders. Hopefully you've watched the training on configuring a networked account as an admin account. So that you understand how to create these folders and some of the things that you need to consider as a networked account to make sure that your team is working efficiently. But as you can see here, a LeadStream, a RoundRobin LeadStream, can definitely help you distribute your data out to your team, even in a networked account. And then those leads can drive the saved searches that your organization is using to systematically work through that data. So anyway, I just want to show you one other thing here since we had that weird set default. Let's go back to, what was it, Cassie's call 1, select all, begin the dial session. Now it's saving the live answer set to Cassie. So even though we set that as the default, the system by default when you do a dial session will save what you did last and reuse what you last used instead of relying on you configuring a default. So the first time you do a dial session, the default will be considered, but after you start doing dial sessions, the system's going to remember what you last set. So I just wanted to come back and show you that since we had that weird moment in this video, and you know what? It is what it is. So anyway, I'd forgotten that that was the case, and here we are. So I hope this helps you and your organization get the most out of PhoneBurner so that you and your team can get more done in less time using the power of PhoneBurner. Thanks again, and happy dialing.